This is 26-year-old Anastasia Grishman, adult film star, OnlyFans model and TikTok performer. And right now she's telling the audience on this TV show all about her life. 2 weeks later though, Anastasia is found in the bathtub of her flat with no fewer than 13 stab wounds, the which having caused the content creator's death nearly a week before. So then who, during those 5 or 6 days before the body was found, had posted the videos and photos that had appeared on Anastasia's Instagram account, and who had interacted with her relatives and friends online in that same period, pretending to be her? More importantly by far though, were the questions of who had murdered the young woman and why. If you're enjoying the video so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. Anastasia, who lived in an upmarket area of St. Petersburg over in Russia, was discovered in her flat when, on the 10th of August 2022, a young woman who didn't actually know Anastasia, but who no less had reason to fear for Anastasia's safety, alerted the authorities to her fears for the TikTok star. When the police broke into the flat, they found blood absolutely everywhere. The stink of rotting human flesh pervaded the place too, and the body, in its advanced stage of decomposition, was wholly unrecognisable to the person to whom it had once belonged. The murderer had drawn the curtains and blocked the pipes in order to prevent neighbours detecting his act, and it was noted that he had killed his victim in the bedroom and then dragged the body into the bathroom and dumped it in the bathtub. Given what he, and yes, it most certainly was a he, had then done on his victim's social media profiles, pretended to remind you to be Anastasia, the perpetrator was clearly someone who was intimately known to the victim. Anastasia had any number of enemies, since to many, her lifestyle and occupation seemed obscene. She might also have been done in for money since, by her country standards, she earned a very tidy living, such as was attested by her sports car, her high-end cosmetics, her fur coat and her computer equipment. We're seeing, as such, that Anastasia Grishman was anything but an ordinary woman. Being dubbed a freak, to be exact, by many, she stood out for her numerous tattoos, her arguably provocative mode of dress, and her bright pink sports car. In her 2022 appearance on a talk show, though, she explained that she was less a freak and more just a young woman with a very complex nature, the which springing from her markedly difficult start in life. She grew up in a slum, her parents never having any money. An alcoholic, her father drank his every last penny and didn't protest, or possibly didn't even notice due to rarely being sober, when Anastasia's mother sent her daughter, who was now a teenager, to live with her grandmother. In her late teens, Anastasia turned her long-established passion for drawing tattoos into a money-making enterprise, standing out as a tattooist by drawing all the tattoos that she did herself rather than using a stencil. With the tattoo training courses that she ran, she was able to monetize her tattooing skills even further. Notwithstanding, while some of her work was inspired by anime, much of it was notably dark and depressing, indicative, it would turn out, of Anastasia's mental health struggles. On TikTok, she was open about the therapy that she was undergoing to combat her depression. Likewise, her eating disorder, which led her to basically forever be on a diet, was well documented. Anastasia's romantic relationships were, similarly, an area of weakness in her life. Her friends reported that she always seemed to choose the wrong men, many of whom being fond of consuming illicit substances. Now, I'm sorry, but YouTube is weird. If you mention certain practices, they fuck your channel up. That's why I've had to disguise that obvious reference. Anastasia, in contrast, didn't even drink, never mind consuming anything any stronger. When a guy called Dmitry comes in for a tattoo one day, he flirts with Anastasia and the two find that they really click. Dmitry, however, demonstrated quite early on a number of significant red flags. He was, for a start, notably nasty towards Anastasia's friends. More importantly, when he first hit on Anastasia, he already had a girlfriend. The young woman later contradicted the claim about her that Dmitry had made to his new girlfriend, in which he alleged that she used to batter him. When, at one point, she was able to speak to Anastasia about the man, she insisted that it was the other way round. Dmitry used to batter her. After Anastasia and Dmitry got married, Dmitry assumed the role of project manager in his wife's business, and the role, again, of partner to his wife in the adult films that he promptly enticed her to make with him. In response to the protests from her family and friends that this triggered, Anastasia stressed the fact that A, she only ever partnered her husband, and B, she genuinely enjoyed making the films, which, it should be noted, earned her and her husband a shed load on OnlyFans. Not long into their marriage, however, Dmitry's jealous and controlling behaviour began to unravel. Anastasia was just becoming a bigger and bigger star, OnlyFans being her biggest source of money and fame, and her husband, who nobody was interested in, didn't like it. The incessant attention that Anastasia got from men was particularly triggering for Dmitry, who seemed oblivious to the contradiction between how jealous he felt about Anastasia's huge male following as a porn star and the fact that it was him who got her into that content. I'm just wondering if he's the only person in the world who doesn't know that the market for porn is at least 99% men. Having withdrawn from his role in Anastasia's business some time before now, Dmitry was forever asking his wife for handouts. This triggered a lot of resentment in Anastasia, who, having survived the abject poverty of her childhood and having worked hard since she was in her teens, knew that she would never have married Dmitry if she'd known that he was just going to live off her. Anastasia had also since discovered that her husband had 2 convictions for theft and a conviction for refusing military service. She had been wholly unaware of this before the two got married. I don't know if Anastasia's plans to move to South Korea, whose culture she adored and where she planned to open a tattooing business and settle for good, involved the lover that she had got herself at this point, but she was 100% determined to fulfill this plan. With the money she had, there was nothing to stop her, only she was destined, sadly, not to carry out her plan. Dmitry was arrested on suspicion of his wife's murder when his own new girlfriend, the woman who had called the police with fears for Anastasia's safety, reported him to the police. While Dmitry never denied his guilt, he no less kept changing why and how he had killed his wife, first alleging that it was a loss of control scenario which had unravelled in the middle of yet another of his and his wife's many heated arguments, then claiming that it was to satisfy the pact that he had once made with Anastasia, in which he had agreed to kill her if ever she should ask him to do so, which is what he says she had done. Anastasia's mental health problems were the cause of that pact, he had said, his wife having become completely insane by the time he killed her, but finding herself unable to take her life herself. Taking his own life after his act, furthermore, had been in Dmitry's plans, the man said. As regards Dmitry's second explanation of his murder of his wife, Anastasia was preparing to move to South Korea and build a brand new life and had sold 2 of her flashy cars in order to fund her move. This is enough, I'd say, to discredit Dmitry's claim that she had gone crazy and wanted to die, but we can also add, as further evidence against this claim of Dmitry's, the savage way in which Dmitry killed his wife. 13 stabs! The man later showed exactly how he attacked his wife, waiting until they were both in bed, then waiting until his wife first fell asleep and then turned the other way, and then jabbing the knife into her neck time and time again. Oh my gosh. If Dmitry had truly planned to end his own life straight after killing his wife, then, what the fuck was he still doing here? And why had he since sold nearly all of his wife's remaining high-value possessions, as he had, if not to use the proceeds to take flight? And what was his act of impersonating his wife on her social media all about then? It unfolded, in fact, that Dmitry had plotted his wife's murder for days before perpetrating it and rehearsed how to mimic her online. So that, along with his cashing in of his wife's possessions, puts paid to his first explanation for his murder of his wife, in which, to remind you, he claimed that it was a spontaneous act coming from a fit of rage. Dmitry had lost Anastasia and he knew it. He couldn't, for instance, have gone with her to South Korea, even if she had wanted him to, since, because of his criminal convictions, he wasn't allowed to leave the country. Well, if Dmitry couldn't have Anastasia and her money, then neither could anyone else. Right, I think we've all had just about enough of Dmitry's fucked up story, which is all the more fucked up given that his sentence was a joke. 8 pathetic little years. If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.